What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another Good Morning Tottenham, as we do every single day, Monday to Friday. And there's been a few rumours doing the rumour mill today, but what I want to start off with is the Harry Kane situation once again. And it's really starting to, well, to be honest, it's not really starting to. It's been getting on my nerves.
It's getting to the end of your tether, I think.
Literally, it really is getting to the end of my tether. And the Sun, literally, just keep trying to push this narrative that that Spurs are the bad guys here, and it's just doing my head in. Like, let me just read some of the headlines here. It's not even the whole article. I just got a few headlines, and it says Harry Kane tells Daniel Levy again he wants Man City transfer as striker feels hung out to dry by Tottenham.
What's that even mean?
He feels hung out to dry by Tottenham. How can he feel hung out to dry by Tottenham when Manchester City are the ones not stumping up enough money for him? It's not like, I don't understand this whole narrative.
It makes no sense. It makes absolutely no sense. And we know that the Sun clearly has some sort of connection with the Kane camp, with Charlie Kane at Charlie Kane's wedding. That's where all the news came out that Spurs were set to accept a £160 million bid from Man City, and the deal was going to go through. Obviously, that never materialised, not because of Tottenham, but because of Man City. They went for $100 million for Jack Grealish, and they didn't get their priorities straight. They made an absolutely insulting offer for Harry Kane at 75.
All right, we're back. So where were we? What were you saying?
As I was saying, yeah, the Man City with their derisory offer of 75 million plus 25 million euros is obviously going to be an offer which not only is it not a starting point for negotiations, but it's going to completely turn Levy away from entering negotiations at all. Even, at least let's say they started their starting bid was 120 million or something. Not enough, but at least Levy can see that bid for something as okay, maybe there's somewhere to go from there. But 75 million cash and 25 million in add-ons that's like Harry Maguire went for less than that. You know what I mean? Not including add-ons. That's for the best striker in Europe.
Jack Grealish literally just went for more than that.
Yeah. So that's an absolutely pathetic offer. It's pathetic. Who do you think they're dealing with? Who do you think they're going for?
At the end of the day, right, Man City are trying to throw their weight around and blah, 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 trying to get Kane to push for the move for Tottenham. And Kane can push for the move all he wants. But unless Man City put the money on the table that Tottenham deserve for Harry Kane, the transfer is never going to get done. And in my opinion, if I was Harry Kane, I would be really, really annoyed with Man City right now. I would be really annoyed with Man City. They go out there, they stump up the cash for Jack Grealish. Now, apparently, they don't have enough money for Harry Kane. So why did you sign Jack Grealish in the first place when you're so desperate for Harry Kane?
Yeah, makes no sense. And as well, when he says he's being hung out to dry, I don't disagree he's being hung out to dry, but it's not by Tottenham.
100%.
It's not by Tottenham.
100%.
What's happened is Man City have been in his ear and they're saying, we'll do this, do that, we're going to come in for you, make sure, you get Levy to come to the negotiation table and try and force the move, all these things. And Kane's listened to them, which I understand why, because he wants to move there and he wants to advance his career, he wants to challenge for big trophies, so I understand his point of view. But he's done all these things to try and force the move. Yet Man City haven't done their part by any stretch of the imagination. They haven't done their part. And they've already alienated Tottenham by the way they've handled negotiations. And I think not only have they put in insulting derisory bids, but the way they've got into Kane's ears probably pissed off Tottenham as well. That's probably annoyed Tottenham and probably made Daniel Levy dig in his heels even more. So I think Man City have gone about this all wrong, and I think it's going to cost them. All this talk about one final push before the end of the window, all this kind of stuff, I think it's fanciful talk at this point.
I completely agree, and I think that if I was Harry Kane and I'm looking at a transfer out of Tottenham next summer, I think I'd prefer to go elsewhere than Man City. Man City clearly don't value him as highly as he should be valued, and I would go somewhere, maybe a Manchester United, maybe a Liverpool, somewhere like that, before I go to Man City. That's for sure. That's for sure. I wouldn't go to Man City anymore. I think they've really done him the dirty this summer. I really believe that.
They've screwed him over, I think, Man City, by not seriously entering negotiations, and that has really that pretty much killed his chances of moving. Because I do think there was a good chance if early in the window, Man City put in if they put in a good offer, which could have started negotiations early in the window, and then by maybe a few weeks ago, the deal could have been done, or just stump up the cash. Then Spurs would have had enough time to sign replacements, and Kane could have got his move, and everyone it wouldn't have been win-win, but it would have been a satisfactory conclusion. But now they're scrambling around to put a bid together that will suit Tottenham's means. That means Tottenham have to consider where they want to scramble around for the next 6 days, looking to sign here, there, and everywhere. To replace Kane, and who they're going to need to sign. 3 players probably, or 2 or 3 players to replace him. Doesn't make any sense. None of it makes any sense. Yeah. So I can't see this deal being done. And the stories coming out yesterday that the sources in Tottenham believe the deal's near impossible to be done now. That makes sense to me.
I think it is impossible to do now. I think even if they come up with £200 million straight cash now for Tottenham, I would reject it. It's a little too late now. I mean, they've had all summer to do this deal. Mm-hmm. They decided to go and pursue Jack Grealish instead. Fair enough. That's their prerogative, you know what I mean? But that's a detriment to their Harry Kane deal, unfortunately, and they're not getting him this summer, and I don't think they're going to get him either way now. But Jack Purchard with the comment, and he says, Kylian Mbappe has 1 year left and is going for 137 million. Harry Kane should be at least 180 million now. Kylian Mbappe is a bit different. I mean, he's very young and obviously one of the best players. Well, Harry Kane is also one of the best players in the world, but Kylian Mbappe is literally up there with the best player in the world, you know what I mean? So
yeah, and he's also 22 years of age. You're getting a player who's literally got another 10 years before he even thinks about slowing down.
The thing is, what's happened with Real Madrid? So they were cash trap broke, couldn't put a bid for anyone together, and now suddenly they're bidding 160 million euros or something for Kylian Mbappe.
Well, apparently they haven't signed anyone for 2 years, and they've made a few sales. So apparently maybe that's why they can afford him. But it seems a bit strange that the whole summer they've been complaining about money, and then they put in this massive, gigantic offer for Mbappe. To be fair, though, it's a big offer, but that is the amount they spent on him, PSG. So it's not like, so for them, imagine signing Mbappe 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and then not making a profit on him by selling him. That would probably be annoying.
If they mess around even more, they're going to let him go for free.
I'm not saying they have a choice. I'm just saying, imagine PSG's point of view. Like when you're thinking about selling Mbappe for cost price, how good he is, how good he's been for France. He's been a World Cup winner since then. He's taken his game on. He's become one of the best players in the world, and you're not even selling him for a profit. Yeah. Like that must be a bit gutting for them.
To be fair, it's a nice little silver lining to have Messi as a backup, though.
I guess. What do you think of Mbappe's? When Messi comes in, do you not think you'd want to at least 1 year play with him?
Yeah, I would think so. But he's had this hard on for Madrid for a long time, and he's dying to play for Real Madrid. So maybe the way he's thinking about it is the opportunity's here now. So he wants to go. But I think Mbappe's wanted to leave PSG for a year or two now, hasn't he?
There's been rumours of it, yeah. But it's just interesting how you would have thought Mbappe teaming up with Messi and Neymar, he would be a mouth-watering prospect.
I get that, but maybe he's thinking, look, I'm done with the French league now, and he wants to move on with his career.
Is there any chance this Mbappe deal could affect what happens at Spurs in some sort of domino effect? They're saying their claims that Ronaldo could be on the move, and if he's on the move, how could this affect it? I
was reading last night that if Man City are not successful with Harry Kane, which looks like they're not going to be, they might go in for Cristiano. And I don't know how true it was, but I saw a thing on 101 Great Goals last night, and so they're not the most reliable, let's be honest. But I saw that they were saying that the president of PSG, I'm not going to even attempt to remember his name, he's got like 20,000 names, says that he tweeted out a picture of Messi and Ronaldo standing next to each other in PSG shirts, and said maybe question mark and a smiley face or
Who
something.
tweeted that?
The brother of the PSG owner.
Wow. Maybe he knows something. But yeah, so there are some rumours it could cause some sort of domino effect. But I think Man City, even if it's a short-term deal for Ronaldo, if it just put him up front, make him a poacher, I think he'd be amazing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be amazing. Don't put him on the wing where he has to do too much work. Just make him a penalty box poacher.
Yeah.
And I think he'll smash him in. Smash him in.
You talking about PSG or Man City?
Man City, if they go for him instead of Kane.
Yeah. The amount of chances they create every game, Ronaldo will slot them all away. He'll probably finish top goal scorer in the league with 30 goals.
Probably. So that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know why Man City as well don't go for, if they're thinking about spending anywhere near 150 for Kane, why not go for Mbappe as well?
I'd agree. Dark Sun G21 with the super chat saying the Sun article said Kane wants out because Spurs didn't say anything after Kate's late return to training. As a result, Kane got a lot of criticism.
Oh right, that's what he means by out to dry. Yeah, I guess we'll never know the full story. I mean, we can only take what we see, and we know he didn't turn up for training. What the reason was, we don't really know. Some say it's forcing him for a move. Some say he agreed with the club that he had this leave. I mean, who knows? Who knows what the truth is? And maybe if the truth isn't what the club is saying, then he has a right to be pissed off. But we're never going to know, are we? We're just never going to know.
No, we're never going to know. But in terms of Tottenham responding to about Kane coming back late, I mean, Tottenham don't respond to these kind of things in the media, do they? They deal with everything internally, so I don't expect them to say anything out public. Did you?
No, I didn't expect, especially when the talisman of the club, the face of the club is in that position. I didn't expect them to make a public statement. But then again, if it was all a big misunderstanding, I would have expected them to make a public statement. So you can only assume that it wasn't a misunderstanding, but Kane is saying it was. I don't know. Who knows what the truth is?
You never know what to believe. Charlie Wyatt, as well, from the same publication, was talking. I don't know if it's the same article or not, but he was saying in a team meeting, Nuno went around the room and asked every player individually if they wanted to be at Spurs. And then following on from that interview, it says many of the Spurs players are yet to take to Nuno yet. And that is exactly from the Sun as well. I mean, I don't see that.
Don't see it on the pitch.
I don't see that on the pitch. I don't see that with Nuno's reactions to players. I mean,
he was hugging Kane at the end of that game.
To me, that just seems like more bullshit to try and unsettle the Spurs camp.
Yeah, which I don't like. And you saw the end of Wolves game, as much as we might have struggled to gain control of the game. You can't fault the effort of the players. No. I don't think
they were together as a team.
You saw how Reguilon in the 94th minute, how he was busting a gut just to win throw-in right at the end of the game, so he can make sure we got 3 points. Like, didn't seem to me like a team who weren't with the manager and fighting for the manager. Didn't seem like that to me.
It felt like very much the opposite, to be honest. Mm-hmm. It felt like for the first 2 games of this season, in the Premier League anyway, those first 2 games, every single player on the pitch was busting a nut for that manager. Every single player on the pitch, every player that came on. I think every player has put in 100% effort so far. And you can't really fault it, can you?
No, definitely not. And Dan Schultz says, the Charlie Kane source is utter rubbish. We need to stop listening to reports from the Sun.
Yeah, to be honest, I agree. I completely agree.
Dan Schultz said, multiple players have said how much they like him already. Let's stop listening to the Sun. Yeah, look, this Sun source claimed that the deal for Kane for 160 million was set to go through ages ago, and it's complete bollocks, wasn't it? Because that's nowhere near.
That was the report that came out from the wedding, right?
Yeah, they said it was about to happen, 160 million, and the deal was going to go through, and that's turned out to be absolute rubbish.
All right, I think let's move on from this stupid newspaper, and let's move on and let's talk about Tanguy Ndombele. There's been an article in The Athletic. Have you got that article?
From Ndombele, yeah. I do. Well, I did.
But one of the takeaways from that article is that Ndombele but the latest time he did change his mind and thought he wanted to leave was after that Carabao Cup final selection when Ryan Mason picked Winks ahead of him in the cup final. And he's wanted to leave ever since then. But doesn't that just show even more weaker mentality from Tanguy Ndombele?
I mean, I've read the article. It doesn't specifically say that was like he put in a transfer request immediately after that, and that's how what it implies when people say that that's what the reason was. But it says that it says in the article that when he was left out of the squad, he was absolutely beside himself. He was crestfallen, basically, about being left out in the cup final.
I think we all were, though.
Yeah, and not just being left out, but because that was potentially one of his biggest games of his career if he would have started. But also, never didn't get on the pitch at all. He brought on Sissoko ahead
We all
of him.
questioned it at the time.
Yeah, and we did. And apparently he was leading up to that cup final, he was very excited, and he thought, he was definitely going to start because I guess before Mason was in, he was a fixture in the team. And he was very excited. And then to lose his place on the cup final, it says Ndombele was crestfallen to be dropped for the final. This would have been the biggest game of his career, his first major final and his first game at Wembley. However, he had to watch from the bench as Mason brought on the likes of Bale, Sissoko, Dele, Bergwijn, but not Ndombele. For Ndombele, this was immensely painful. He has always seen himself as a big game player who comes alive on the grand stages. It was his display for Lyon against Man City in the CL in 2018. Remember that alerted the world to his talent, and now he had the sideline for a huge game when he was desperate to make a difference. The result, that was perhaps unsurprisingly, Ndombele's head dropped after the cup final. He was so upset with the final that affected his performance in the Euro 2020 squad despite starting a World Cup qualifier for France in the March international break. It led to Ndombele asking to leave, with the player believing that he can get a move to a team such as big as Barcelona, Madrid or Bayern Munich. This in turn has led to Nuno excluding him from the team and even the bench for all the Spurs games so far this season. Nuno does not want to pick a player who doesn't want to be here, and that's the state of play. So it sounds like that was like the starting point of a catalyst for a series of events that has led him to wanting out.
Yeah, and look. The Ndombele thing is a hard one to take because obviously he was going well in the season. He was going well in the season last season. And as soon as Mourinho got sacked, the final came along 6 days later. Ndombele was in a good moment at that time. And everyone expected him to start that cup final. He gets omitted for Harry Winks, never plays again in the whole season. And what the Athletic are saying there, it seems it makes sense, and it's absolutely spot on in my opinion. And you got to blame Ryan Mason, don't you, for not picking him for that cup final? But
especially because he picked Harry Winks instead, which was.
But on the flip side of that as well, you got to say that your mentality can't be that weak that you come out of the game for a cup final. Yes, it's going to be hard to take, but you've got to be more professional than that. You've got to prove them wrong. You've got to come back stronger. You've got to try 10 times as harder at training. You can't just give up everything and be like, all right, I want to go. And that's not the right mentality to have as a professional footballer.
I don't think it was he was dropped and that was it, he wants to go. It looks like what happened was he was dropped and he got very down about being dropped and he wasn't happy about it, and it affected his own performance in training. And because of that, Mason wasn't able to use him or put him back in because he didn't deserve to be put back in. And then because he didn't feature in the latter stages, he was like, all right, it's not working out here, so I'm going to go. It did, so the cup final started from that, but that wasn't alone the only reason.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying is, like, from my understanding from what you just said, is that he didn't start the cup final, he got omitted, didn't play a minute in the cup final, and then his performance levels in training dropped because of it. And then a consequence of that is that he never played again in the season.
And then
you can't let your performance levels in training drop like that just because you're not in the team for a cup final.
Yeah, of course.
That mentality is nowhere near good enough.
That stinks of entitlement.
Exactly.
And we don't want players who feel like they should be entitled to that. However, just playing devil's advocate, playing from Ndombele's standpoint, he'd worked so hard to get back in the team throughout the season, right? And he started the season out of favour a bit under Mourinho, and then he worked doubly as hard to get his fitness right, to get all these things right to start games. And he was under Mourinho, he was a fixture in the team. He was playing really well for a lot of the time. He was he worked so hard. We all seen how hard he worked to get back in the team and put himself in a position where he was playing week in, week out. And then when it comes to the first final we have in the season, and the first major final for him to be left out for Harry Winks, who had been having a terrible season up till then, and hadn't probably been trying as hard as him throughout the season. And when he'd been given opportunities under Mourinho, hadn't impressed anywhere near as much as Ndombele. For him to miss out on the final for Winks must have been gutting for all the hard work he'd been put in.
And it was gutting for us fans as well. It was gutting for us fans, but still, like, yes, of course, Ryan Mason has done wrong there by not picking Ndombele in the final. That's 100%. But you still can't react like the way he reacted as a top professional footballer, especially on 200 grand a week, our top earner at the club. You just can't react like that. I'm sorry. It's just not the right way to go about things. And it just, like you said, it just stinks of entitlement.
But sometimes maybe it's subconscious.
Yeah, could be. Very much could be. But, you know, you're having a good season, and then the new manager comes in, and he's a caretaker manager, first of all, and he takes you out the team for the first game. If you try harder in training, you're going to be getting into that team again, surely.
Well, the funny thing is, he did start the first game. He's a
fighter, apparently. He's the one that told Dan he'll leave. He's a fighter.
He did start the first game.
He died, and he got taken off at half-time,
He got taken off, I don't know, it was...
That's against Southampton.
Yeah, I'm not sure, it might have been half-time, but I think it was early. He got taken off early.
He was
apparently, according to the article, Ndombele was kind of... He started the game, but he was conserving his energy as the final was 4 days later, and he wanted to be 100% for that game, which is not the best way to look at it, but that's maybe why he wasn't at his best.
The thing is, we were going for top 4 at that time, and we really needed the points. We won the game in the end, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Just about. But look, you can't go into the game thinking about a game 5 days later, or wherever it is. Even if it's a cup final, you just can't. You need to concentrate on what's in front of you at the end of the day. So look, at the end, when you look at this whole situation, it's just bad all around. Bad management by Ryan Mason, bad attitude by Tanguy Ndombele, and if I was Tanguy, I would have put everything behind me when Ryan Mason left the club.
I think with a new manager now, time for a new start.
All right, Levy's sabotaging once again, but we're back. We're talking about Ndombele still. I mean, you were in the middle of talking. You're always in the middle of talking when we get cut off.
I can't remember what I was saying now about Tanguy, but I'm just saying that, there's a new manager there now, and it's time for a fresh start. And at the moment, with all the big clubs not having much money, there aren't many better places you can be, I don't think, than Tottenham right now. In terms of, I know our stock is not the best, highest right now, but
he's got a chance right now to play week in, week out in the Premier League for Tottenham. Potentially, our expectations this year is probably 5th or 6th, but if we overperform our expectations, we can get into that top 4 this year. If we really, knuckle down.
If someone like Ndombele is on top of his game, it definitely would help.
Exactly.
And it's a shame that he's still trying to push in the last week of the window to move, and that doesn't bode well if he does stay, whether he will knuckle down and really will see the best of him. And it's just really annoying and sad that the prospect of Ndombele leaving Tottenham without having seen the best of him is a big possibility.
Yeah.
And that's something that we're going to have to deal with, unfortunately. But it's very frustrating because I'm such a big fan of his talent and what he can do on the pitch. But unfortunately, his head doesn't seem to be at the club at the moment.
Yeah.
And that's a sad thing.
Got a few super chats to get through. First from Dark Sun G21, and he says, what do you think about Winks to Newcastle rumours? I haven't seen those rumours.
I haven't seen them either.
But I would love that to be true, if that's the case. Maybe it'll be a Joe Willock and Harry Winks midfield pairing for Newcastle. Santush Gorande says,
big up Santush.
love your work, boys. We need Noni Madueke. It's funny you mentioned Noni Madueke because we were speaking about him this morning and you were saying PSV out the Champions League now, which might lower his price.
There's rumours that it could take 20 million euros off his price now they're out of the Champions League. And if he's going to be available for that cheap, maybe there is something we're going to have to look at before the window's out, because he definitely would be a cheaper alternative than Adama Traore, which we'll talk about in a second. But he started the season very well, Madueke. I think he's got 3 goals at the start of the season. So he's definitely one. And also he'd count as a homegrown player. So we wouldn't have to sell a foreign player to bring him in, unlike Adama Traore. So it could be one that is to keep your eye on before the end of the window. Maybe it is one that could potentially happen.
Yeah. Well, it is 6 days left now to the end of the transfer window. Fabrizio Romano did tell us on We Are Tottenham yesterday that that he thinks that we're going to make 3 signings from now until the end of the window. I don't know if that was including the Papasar one or not.
I'm not sure. Well, we haven't confirmed that, have we? So, probably was. Probably 2, maybe 2 more. Look, I don't know. It all depends. It all depends on outgoings.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I don't know if we're going to sell.
Silver Surfer with the super chat saying, is Kane's head still at City? I mean, probably, but he ain't going there anytime soon, that's for sure.
Oh, look, Nuno feels that it's appropriate to have Kane in the squad and not Ndombele. So, as much as Kane is pushing for a move, clearly Nuno feels like he must feel like he's applying himself adequately to be part of the team.
We know about Kane's mentality, though. It's second to none to anyone in the Premier League. You know what I mean? He's the most, he is, take this summer out of it, right? You would say he's probably the most model professional you've ever seen at this football club.
Yeah, which is true. I don't think he's put a foot wrong pretty much since this summer. So
everyone calls him the best trainer. He stays late on training, just practicing shooting and penalties and free kicks and all that.
He's only as good as what he had, but he needed to be as good as what he is, because he wasn't the most naturally gifted player. Like he wasn't. He's not especially fast. He's not especially strong. He's not especially tall. Like everything he has built in himself, he's worked hard to get. He's not like Adama Traore where he's just naturally
just a specimen,
built. And exactly, he's not like that. Kane, like the Kane you see now, wasn't. The Kane wasn't the Kane that was growing through the academy. He built himself and worked so hard to be who he is, and he has to carry on doing that to maintain it, because he knows that he can't. If he lets his standards drop a bit, he can't. There's nothing naturally he can rely on, to get him out of situations. Like for example, Kyle Walker, if he doesn't train as hard, he knows he's still always going to have that pace to get him out of situations. But it's different for Kane. He can never let his standards drop.
Kane is the pure example of how hard work can get you places. That is the example. Like anyone who doesn't have a natural talent for something and they work, it's a lesson for anyone in any walk of life, literally. Like you don't have to be the most talented at something to thrive in that kind of environment. You know what I mean? Like if you put in the sheer hard work and have the right mentality, you can go places. And that's exactly what Kane has shown the world, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
Let's move on. Let's talk about Adama Traore once again. And Bruno Lage was speaking last night. I think it was after their Carabao Cup game. And the reporter asked, do you expect Adama Traore to still be at the club when the window closes? And Bruno says, yes, I think so. Do you think that's just media talk? Do you think that's honesty?
I don't think it's media. It's just him saying what he needs to say to make the deal. It's a negotiation, isn't it? You're not going to say, oh no, he's going to be leaving, and then and all that. especially when Adama was part of the squad yesterday. I don't know if he played. I don't know if did he get on the pitch. I don't know if anyone knows if he got on the pitch.
I'll
but
tell you in a second.
Pretty sure he was in part of the squad, and so I think it's obvious the manager's always going to say that. I think the chairman would be angry if he said anything else. So
he came on the 82nd minute.
Okay, so he had 8 minutes. So yeah, he's playing for the team. He's obviously gonna be saying that he expects him to be here, but doesn't mean he will.
Yeah. How do you think this is going to play out? You reckon we're going to get him through the door, or do you reckon maybe there's rumours about Jeremy Doku today? I'm guessing we're not going to try and sign both of them. It's going to be an either or an or. I know Jeremy Doku just recently got an injury as well, so I doubt that's going to happen.
He's young, he's still 18 maybe, isn't he?
Doku is a very, very, very good player. I mean, I was talking to you about him before the Euros, saying that I rate him quite highly, and he proved at the Euros that he's definitely an up-and-coming star, in my opinion.
Yeah, and he was very impressive at the Euros, I have to say. But he's still very young, so whether we want to sign another very young player, and what are we gonna? Is he gonna be part of the first team as opposed to Sarr, who we loaned back? So whether we'll sign him, whether Ren will let us sign him this late in the window. It does say there's interest. It doesn't say there's any bids incoming. So I don't know how advanced any sort of deal for Doku is. But in terms of Adama, I think we are going to push very hard. I've got a feeling that we are going to get that one over the line. I do have a feeling about it.
I've got a feeling about it as well.
Yeah,
I think we're going to get over the line. In terms of Jeremy Doku as well, he's more of a natural left winger. So, I mean, it doesn't make sense, that one, to me.
Who Doku is?
Yeah, I mean, I think if we're going to sign a winger, it needs to be a right winger.
Yeah, and I think Adama could definitely fit that. And I think that Wolves seem to be lining up replacements as well in Guedes from Valencia. And if that goes through, I think it makes sense for them to sell Adama. I think he's obviously an important player for them, but in terms of his effectiveness, they could definitely get better. And hopefully we can up his effectiveness in the final third, which Wolves haven't been able to do really massively since he's been there. So I think it makes sense for all parties, I think.
Yeah, I agree. All right, let's move on to the last story of Good Morning Tottenham. Then we will start bringing on some fans to get their opinions. It is from Alistair Gold, and he says Premier League clubs have unanimously decided not to release players for international matches played in red list countries next month. This will apply to nearly 60 players from 19 clubs who are due to travel to 26 red list countries in the September international transfer window. Not transfer window, international break window. And they say this would currently apply to Giovanni Lo Celso, Christian Romero, who face Argentina matches in Brazil, Venezuela and Argentina, which are all red listed. Davinson Sanchez's Colombia matches are also in red list countries. So it looks as though the Premier League have unanimously decided to block all these players going on international break to red list countries, which is music to all our ears, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe the players might be unhappy about it, but at the end of the day,
it's a smart thing to do.
Clubs got to do what's best for them. They got to think of their own interests, and unless the player's really pushing for it, I think the clubs just got to say, look, we can't afford for you coming back and being quarantined and missing 2 games. Unfortunately, we can't send you out. That's just, they're going to have to pick someone else. They're going to have to pick someone else in their squad. And it's not like if we send you out, we have 2 other options. But international teams can call up other players. Spurs only have a set squad, and that's just reality. So, unfortunately, I think that's the right course of action. And I think to be honest, from a lot of players' perspectives, and being, for example, if Lo Celso, if it was like his debut or something, first time call up, and then that happened, I would feel for him. But look, they've just been to the Copa America, they just won it, they've done a lot of stuff for their country over the past few months. So yes, I know it's World Cup qualifiers and they're important, but I think it's important as well.
It's Argentina, Brazil though.
Huh?
Argentina, Brazil. Apparently.
They're playing each other.
Well, it says Argentina are playing in Brazil, so I'm guessing they're playing Brazil. I'm not sure.
Well, that's a big game then. That's pretty gutting to miss that. That's true. But I think it's important as well.
Yeah, they're playing Brazil on the 5th of September.
That is a big miss then. It's a big miss. But Brazil are going to be missing Firmino. They're going to be missing some other Premier League players. So, is what it is. And
Yeah.
I think Romero and Lo Celso as well, it's very important they have that time as well to get up to speed and to get acclimatized to the fitness and Nuno's way of playing as well. So I think it'll be good for them to stay behind.
Super chat here from Dark Sun G21. Big up yourself once again, and they say we need Romero and Lo Celso for Chelsea. Thank God. And yeah, I completely agree. We need to get Romero up to speed.
Romero up against Lukaku, we're going to need him. We are going to need Romero against Lukaku. I can assure you that. Because Lukaku, otherwise, because we need someone super aggressive against him. Otherwise, he's going to bully you, and we saw that on his debut. And we know that. We know Lukaku. He bullies anyone who doesn't take the game to him.
Exactly. But look, that is the kind of news stories doing the rounds today. And let's start off bringing on some callers. 1 second here, take that. I hope you got your coffee, Bob, because it's your time to shine, my friend. Bob, how's it going, mate?
Big up. All good, mate. All good. How are you?
Yeah, all good. You got your coffee? There you go. Is that a B for Bob, or is that a B for your favourite We Are Tottenham person?
No, it'd be for Bob Spur Jr., my favourite son.
Bob's.
My favourite child out of the 4. So, yeah.
What do you want to talk about today, Bob?
I've no idea. I'm confused. There's so much going on, man. You know, Sarr, Traore, Doku this morning, Kane, City. I'm just confused. You wake up in the morning and you think, right, okay, if I speak to the lads, we'll speak about a specific thing. But
why does this keep happening?
Oh, we're back now. We're back.
Yeah,
we're back.
yeah,
Hey,
we're
Bob,
back,
you
we're
alright?
back. Yeah, good, mate.
All right, Bob, let's start this
Pay
again.
the bills, guys. Pay the bills.
We're trying.
Levy keeps trying to sabotage us. It's all like Enoch out protest. You know what I mean?
Bob, let me ask you this question, right? It's a weird one for Spurs fans at the moment in terms of where we stand in how we're progressing in this window, and because we've had a good start to the season, 2 wins out of 2. What a very surprising win against Man City in a good performance, and then 1 performance against Wolves where backs against the wall we end up getting over the line. So 6 wins out of 2, 6 points out of 6. It sounds all right, but when you look at how much work and how much stuff we have to do in these next 6 days, like. Are we in a good position right now, or are we in a very messy position right now? It's a difficult one.
It's a personal opinion, Sim, but I think we're in a weaker position with regards to our squad. Certainly, for every Toby's that's gone out, we've bought Romero. I'd say it's like for like with the experience that we're losing with Toby. We're probably gaining it with potential quality in Romero. For every Lamela we've lost, we've brought in a Hill that's not tried and tested yet. For every Hart we've lost, we've brought in Galini. That's definitely the upgrade. But Vinicius, a Bale. These are goals, and say what you want about them, but they did score goals. I wasn't that impressed with Bale last season, but he did bring us goals, even against so-called lower teams. So personally, I think as a squad, and you've got the likes of one of the best players still looks like wanted to go. Our possibly second most ability-wise best player in Ndombele definitely wanting to go. We've still got deadwood players who are in the decline. I just think we're in a much weaker position squad-wise. That's why I haven't got an issue with Sarr. I don't know. I've not even checked. I thought he was a winger till Cody told me it live on stream that he wasn't. That's how much I know about him. I don't care about what's going to happen in I'll be honest with you. I believe Nuno's probably not bothered. He's not sitting there on a 2-year contract, thinking, we'll go for Sarr because you know what? After I go, at least I've left Tottenham Hotspur Football Club in a good. I'm sure he's not thinking like that. So it's not against Sarr, and it's not even against Traore, although I think he's shit. But I just think. I just worry, why are we concentrating, why are our efforts and our attention on wingers, and Dan's going to come on as well, he's going to talk about the infatuation we have with wingers, although, yeah, we need a right. Whereas clearly, centre back and possibly midfield, and an attacking option, i.e., a striker, is our main priority. We're short in centre backs, certainly in defensive, especially with the likes of how we've seen Carter Vickers play. Tanganga is obviously our best right back at this time moment. I just think our energies and our attention need to be shifted elsewhere. We talk about the 6 days. I don't know about you guys, and I suppose it would be different during the end of the transfer window, but with the weekend and a bank holiday coming up, we've only got 3 working days to
Yeah.
get shit sorted. So
Yeah.
it's concerning. It's concerning. In Nuno we trust. Great start. But if we want longevity of this great start, we need to start getting the right pieces in.
Bob, you say we're in a weaker spot right now in terms of our squad, which we are. There's no two ways about that. But with the new management and the way we're playing football at the moment, and the way that Nuno seems to be getting the players on side, is it possible that we can have a better season than last year with the personnel that are there right now?
Yeah, I believe so. But if it's going to carry on playing with the high press, with high energy, intent that we've got going on, we're going to need players, aren't we, Ben, to come in and
I agree, yeah,
and especially when they're rested. I mean, Skippy, it's his first season. He's going to want to rest. And who we got as an alternative for Skip?
Don't say his name. Don't say his name.
There you go. There you go. I don't have to. The fact I can't mention his name. We shouldn't mention his name. It just says it all. So yeah, we need, and that's central midfield. I still believe we need cover at the back. So I know the Sun stated yesterday we've got 5 people going out, 5 people going in. Romano mentioned yesterday we've possibly got 3 people coming in, but he did, add the caveat that it depends on who we got going out. Mate, there's no one going out. There's no one going out. Don needs to start earning his title, as far as I'm concerned. But unfortunately, as we all know, it's the same person who signs the check.
That's it.
Yeah.
And, there's only so much Paratici can do. He can only bring players to the door. It's got to take a Daniel Levy to bring them through the door at the end of the day. So we don't know how many players are actually coming to the door, do we? We only know the players that are coming through the door.
Yeah, well, we know which players we're being linked with. All 5,784 of them that we've been linked with. I mean, to be fair, Hitchin brought players to the door. I believe he brought the likes of Bruno, a Skriniar, not literally, of course, a Skriniar, a Bruno, a Grealish. We all know these were players at the door, and the buck literally stopped with Daniel Levy, who can take it over the line. So when I question Paratici's Don status, it's not against him, and a lot of the fan base say, "Oh, why are you calling out? Give him time." I have no qualms with Paratici. The Don title has been given by the fan base, which I think is premature, because when you stand back and you look at the bigger picture, it's the same people signing the checks, and until that changes, you can bring in a Paratici, you can bring in another Mitchell or 4 Mitchells. It's all irrelevant. And that's why, to an extent, are we really surprised where we are? We're looking at a bargain basement. We're in a position where we're quite happy to accept Fonseca because of the board's indecisiveness. We're in a position where we accept pretty much anyone now. When it comes to squad players, it's all about now. It's come to quantity. Our numbers are low. It's come to a point where we're going to accept quantity over quality. And that's unfortunate. But is it a surprise?
And we're even at a stage now, for example, if you at the end of last season, if you ask probably every Spurs fan who's our number one position we need to upgrade, they would have said centre back, and we got Romero in, but it looks like now Sanchez and Dyer are going to be here next season. Their priorities looks like they're pushed back to the bottom of the priority list because of our other pressing priorities, which just haven't been dealt with. I mean, with us not dealing with the Sissoko and Aurier's future, that's also, not only is it having a negative effect on
All right, now we're finally back. 3rd time lucky now. I know we're lagging. I know, guys, you can see in the comments a lot of people saying lag. I think we know it more than anyone, but thank you everyone for updating us. But Bob, what were we saying? What were we talking about?
Yeah, I can't remember. It was about the same people signing the checks and
Yeah.
I know. I'm saying, yeah, all these positions that we're neglecting because we haven't dealt with, because there's so many other more important pressing problems. There are problems under the surface which we can't even deal with because we've got so little time. And that's a big problem, isn't it? Like the centre back position,
and the right back situation. We haven't. We've needed a right back since bloody Trippier left.
Yeah, we signed Tommy.
Actually, since Walker left. Tommy Arthur, yeah, he was through the door before the Olympics, wasn't he?
That's it. Yeah, that's it. I don't know what's going on there. No, it's just constant hindrances, aren't there, Sim? With Kane, he has caused a hindrance, regardless of him staying. Absolutely fantastic. We don't know yet. We don't know a last minute deal. It's going to be a test of resolve for a certain Mr. Levy if Man City do come in with a 160, 170 bid, as unlikely as it is. It will be a test of resolve, and we just don't know how it's going to go. But yeah, the players who don't want to move on, the lack of offers, it's just been a hindrance. It's been a hindrance since Jose got sacked 6 days before the cup final. We've just been playing catch up because of the indecisive mess that has been caused by the owners, be it the manager search, be it the director of football, be it the players that they've put on a big contract, be it lack of ambition and Kane wants to go, be it Ndombele, a lack of research. I don't know. It's just been a constant catch-up process that we've not caught up to, and now we're buying for the future. Way.
Yeah.
All right, Bob. Absolute pleasure as always, my friend. Legend yourself, my friend, and we'll see you soon.
Come on,
you
Big
Spurs.
Spurs.
See you, Bob. Nice to see you.
All right, let's bring on Dan. I know he's been waiting a while, seeing us go up and down and up and down, but we're here. Dan, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks, guys. How about you lot?
Yeah, not bad at all. What do you want to talk about today? What's your pressing topic of discussion?
Oh, there's a lot of things to talk about. There's the Kane thing that I do think I want to just cover quickly. I mean, you guys have spoken about it already, but I was going to say, I've been off for a few days, but I just think that City have handled this so atrociously.
Agreed.
It's ridiculous. You'd think that a club with the resources, seemingly infinite resources of Man City, would be able to show better intent than what they have, with a measly 75 million straight cash and 25 million add-ons bid. And yeah, I just think the writing's been on the wall for a bit now that this isn't happening because they're not willing to go anywhere near what Levy would even consider, because it's even been, it's been touted, they pay up 150 million, they get him. It's been said before, as the goal, that the 150 million was to even start negotiations. So I just think that was a complete non-starter. I just wanted to touch on that because, I just think it's been ridiculous how City have dealt with it. Ridiculous how the media, and specifically certain Gary Neville, has covered the situation. And I can't wait till the window's done and we can just laugh at Sky Sports about it.
But you look at the back end of last season when Harry Kane does that interview with Gary Neville, right? And he's twerking himself for Man City at the time. It's widely reported that Man City going to come up with the bid. Everyone's expecting Harry Kane to join Man City at some point during the summer, and the rumours are just hotting up, right? And then they suddenly sign Jack Grealish for 100 million. They don't have any qualms about it whatsoever. They stump up, the release clause is met, and then we're thinking in the back end, like, is this Harry Kane deal going to go on? Are they really going to spend money on Jack Grealish and Harry Kane in the same window? And the media are still telling us, yes, it's still happening. But in my opinion, they've gone for Jack Grealish at the detriment of the Harry Kane deal. And what's Harry Kane thinking about this? Like, why are they signing Jack Grealish, a player where they're fully stocked in that position, where they don't have a full out and out number 9 target man up there who they've been crying out for all season, albeit they did win the league quite comfortably. I mean, what's Harry Kane thinking about? Like, surely he thinks like Man City are not serious.
I think if I was Harry Kane, I would feel utterly disrespected. And there was a source saying yesterday he feels hung out to dry by Levy and Spurs. It's been hung out to dry by City because they won't pay anywhere near what we consider. They've disrupted him. They've disrupted our pre-season. They've put these thoughts in everyone's head, the media's head, everyone saying that Kane's going to go, and they won't go close. It's unheard of, I think, for a team with that much resources, not being able to put out any more, getting Grealish first, who they don't need at all, and then paying less for Kane.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I can't understand it because I've said since the beginning of the window that I don't think he's going to go. I've said since the beginning because I didn't think they would get near, and it kind of faltered a little bit when Kane wasn't going to training because I never thought that would happen. But he wasn't going for training or seemingly trying to force through a move, whatever, for a 75 million bid. It's ridiculous. It's really frustrating me. Yeah, I can't wait for the window to be done. In terms of that.
Yeah, and you know, the Tanguy situation's have been hung up past few days. He's been touted around to a few clubs. Still no serious interest looks like at the moment. You're hearing the reports today that he you know, all stemmed from him being left out of the Carling Cup final, and ever since then, you know, his head dropped, and since the summer he's asked to leave. What do you think of that whole story?
Like I said, it wasn't a surprise that he wanted to leave. You know, it's been known for a little bit, but the fact that it stems from that, I think, just shows the poor attitude. It's really illuminated the poor attitude that he has. Lucas Moura got left out of the biggest game in our club's history when he had single-handedly got us through the semi-final. Did he complain about it? No, he knuckled down and he puts 200% in pretty much every time he plays. You know, the quality might not be there all the time, but he always puts in the effort. And Tanguy goes, you know, crying about that. And then, you know, supposedly, and you said that that's not the main reason, but the fact that was enough for his performances and training to drop. So then, you know, it's a caretaker manager who's not overly experienced. You can't pick people in training who aren't performing. So then he can't play after that, and it just starts to spiral to him saying, oh, you know, I want to go, I want to kick up a fuss and leave again. I just think that's such poor attitude, and it's really disappointing for a player of Tanguy's quality that we know he has. But, you know, I want players like anyone who wants to play for Spurs, and if he doesn't want to play for us, he can go. I just don't think it's going to happen because I don't think anyone's going to pay it.
Should we have put him on like some normal kind of up and coming, but not up and coming. I mean, he came in as our kind of record transfer fee, but to put him on pay parity with Harry Kane at that age, with that experience in the Premier League, I mean, surely that was an oversight from the hierarchy at Tottenham.
Yeah, I mean, you don't know whether that was required to agree personal terms with him,
Yeah.
whether, you know, if he didn't pay up that much, he wouldn't have come. I do think that with the big transfer fee and the high wages and everything being our record transfer, I think what's happened is he's believed his own hype a lot. And, you know, you hear now that he wants to go to Barcelona or Real Madrid or, you know, he's going to have to put in effort at those clubs as well. You know,
To be fair, we have heard Bayern Munich are interested.
Yeah, supposedly there was the Tolisso swap deal, which
Yeah.
I don't know why you swapped that for a, you know, injury-prone 27-year-old, but still, maybe it happens if they're willing to pay his wages and everything. I'm not sure if I quite see it, but if we do get him gone, I'm sure that we would get another sentiment in, whether it's like Aouar or McKennie or someone like that. But it's just so frustrating with the attitude. I think it stinks.
Yeah, I agree. But now with
comment as well quickly.
Yeah.
In terms of, because I know you were talking with Barcelona last one, just in terms of the state of the squad and where we are and so on. I do think it's an interesting point to remember. And I think Sim made this point in terms of the coaching and everything. We'll have to wait and see because it is very early. I'm a strong believer in that when you're improving a squad, you either improve the players you're bringing in or the coaching that you're doing. I'm a strong believer in good coaching. And we've seen other clubs, like look at West Ham. They had largely the same squad when they got Moyes in. And I can't remember exactly when it came, but I know that it was last season, obviously. They had a great season. And you could see with the coaching from Moyes, you had players like Craig Dawson playing like Maldini and putting in really strong performances consistently. And that was all down to mainly good coaching. And I do think, you know, it's very early days. But I think if Nuno shows his worth in terms of the coaching that we've already seen from certain players like Dele Alli, I think that it's not necessarily a level where the quality of players is better than last year or worse than last year, but the standard they're playing at can be better with better coaching. Yeah,
I completely agree. I agree with that. However, you know, it's not necessarily just from a coaching standpoint, because we've got so many issues in terms of players' futures and players being here. With 6 days left to go, I did a tweet just saying all the issues we still have in the squad currently, not just necessarily just relying on the quality of players. But Kane's future is still kind of up in the air. That looks like it's going to he's going to stay. Ndombele's future still up in the air. Aurier's future, 6 days after the window, 1 year left of his contract, he's still up in the air. Sissoko, he's been we know he wants to leave. Our 3 right back options at the moment are Aurier, Doherty, and Tanganga going into the season. We still only have 1 striker who spent the most time looking to leave. We're still relying on Lo Celso and Dele for creativity, and depending if Tanguy stays or not. Adama Traore is our main priority going into the last 6 days, and we're relying on Dyer and Sanchez at centre-back. So still, which everyone said would have been a disaster at the end of last season. So all these issues, with 6 days to go, I can't even see a quarter of these being dealt with.
Don't get me wrong, there's still a lot to be done in terms of more, positional players that we don't have and such like that. And I would have preferred to bring another centre-back. I think that, whether better or worse, Sanchez especially has played himself into staying. You hear all the reports that he came back from Copa America with a lot of confidence. He's been playing really well in training, and he's shown it in the games.
I don't get this. Davinson Sanchez has played his way into staying. He's played a friendly game against Arsenal and a game against Man City, and ever since then we've heard this. But I mean, he's had good games in the past before. We're talking about consistency over a long period of time, and he's never shown that.
Oh, 100% agree with you. I'm not a massive fan of Sanchez. I probably rate Dyer higher than Sanchez because I just think Sanchez makes more consistent errors. If anything, he'll have these great games and then he'll put in an awful error which will cost us a goal and cost us a game, such like that. And then, we've lost out on those points. It's frustrating. It's more, as I said, for better or worse, it seems like that's what's happened. And it is frustrating because this window's been a bit of a mess in terms of we have agreed deals or fees or whatever for really quality players, but for reasons of not being able to agree personal terms, or Martinez, you've got Lukaku coming in, Koundé, the player didn't want to come. We've agreed these deals, and supposedly Pau Torres, we agreed a fee for him supposedly, and then the player rejected it. It's really frustrating because it's more the mismanagement, I think, from previous seasons that's really buying us now in terms of we don't even have Europa League. We can't even offer Europa League. We're offering Conference League. And you have these players like Koundé, like Pau Torres, who want Champions League to move to a team. We were in the Champions League right now. We'd have Koundé. That's really frustrating to think about. We could have Koundé and Romero. And, you get ones like... I mean, this is why I think Romero's shown... I think he's going to be one of the fan favourites because he wanted to come here, even with interest from Barcelona and so on, so knowing that we didn't have UCL. But we've been kneecapped from the mismanagement of previous seasons with players like Eriksen and Trippier not being replaced, with, positions in the squad not being filled. We're now paying for it when there's so much to do in a window like this, which is off the back of COVID. It's incredibly frustrating. And it's a weird one because it does seem like the kind of type of player we're going for has changed a little bit. A lot of the players we're going for seem to be these very versatile players who can play, either across the back line like Tomiyasu. We're using Tanganga, who can play left back, right back, centre back. We went for Nandez, who the whole thing with him was he could play centre mid, DM, right back.
Literally
right
every position but goalie, basically.
Probably could have played goalie if he chose. But it seems like we're going for a different sign of play in terms of these really versatile ones. Like Traore, he can play right wing, left wing. He can play as a support striker, and I think he can play behind the striker. I think I've seen that before. But it's a weird one because we've definitely changed our transfer strategy, but we haven't been able to carry out to the best of our abilities and, give Paratici everything he wants. And for the first time, maybe a long time, I'm not sure if it's all down to finances. I think it's been to do with not being in Champions League, not being able to offer them, a desirable club because of the state that we're in. And that's the most frustrating thing about it. It seems that the purse strings have ever so slightly loosened, that we're making these bids for Martinez and so on, but we're not able to carry it over the line because of where we are as a club.
Yeah, it's interesting, but I think when you isolate that bid for Martinez and the chase of Vlahovic, I'm 100% certain that those bids were on the assumption that we were selling Kane. I'm not sure. I don't think we bring in Martinez for 70 million without selling Kane. I just don't see it.
It goes back to, we had the discussion previously about the whole 4-4-2 thing, and it's still going on in terms of the idea that we bring Traore in as opposed to make it so we go 4-4-2, Son and Kane up front. I don't think we would have got... It's maybe me just being a little bit delusional and dreaming none of it's happening anyway. But I was always of the mindset that I felt that if Kane went, we would get Vlahovic and Martinez, and if Kane stayed, we were going to get one or the other. And just the fact that we had a fee agreed, and there was, especially knowing now that City have been nowhere near paying what we want, I don't think we make that bid just off the presumption they'll pay up. I do think that we were going for him. We'll never know because it didn't go over the line. Kane's well, no, he's not going. Kane's not going. So we're never going to know. But yeah, like I said, I think it's more the circumstances of where we are, which is really frustrating a lot of these deals. Like I said, I would have loved Pau Torres, I would love Koundé, but we can't get him because of where we are. That's the bottom line of it.
And Dan, as we were saying before, the main deal at the moment, it looks to be on the cards, is Adama Traore from Wolves. What's your take on that deal? It's kind of split the fan base. Some people think he's completely useless. Some people thinking he's got qualities no other player has, and maybe he could add value to the squad. What do you reckon about it?
I saw a few polls on this. I think did you guys do a poll as well? I saw
we did, yeah.
And
it was a very tight one, very tight
50-50.
poll.
50. It was pretty much 50-50, and everyone I saw were people either for or against bringing him in. I'm personally more for it. I want to caveat that I still did want to bring in another striker. It seems like it's not going to happen because the targets weren't there. I wouldn't have wanted Traore over a striker. But in isolation, getting Traore in as another winger, although we are now a bit overloaded in that position, the fact that he's so versatile, the fact that though his end quality is questionable, I think it'll be a lot of fun. I want to enjoy watching Spurs again. I want to, and I have done these last couple of games, maybe not so much the Wolves game, but I want to enjoy watching Spurs. And I think Adama Traore is a player you enjoy watching. He gets the crowd off their feet. He makes things happen, even if his final ball at the end isn't that good. And I do subscribe to the idea that, just look at the game we had and how many defenders we were putting on him at times, and how that will create space, or whether they won't be able to afford to do that with players like Kane and Son in the lineup. And we know it's a statistical fact that he has not got the end product of even someone like Bergwijn. But even in that game against them, he did put in balls. There were chances for Jimenez and so on. They just weren't putting them away. And I think that when you put him around better quality players, and obviously Kane's a better striker than Jimenez, Son's a better winger than players like Neto and so on, I think that it will make more happen. I think he will have a better output. And I just think if you're going against a team and you've got a player, especially a forefront line, especially a player like Traore, who defenders hate to play against, who they're terrified of, I think that's always going to be a positive, personally. But flip side, I can absolutely see why people are against it.
But I think the majority of people are against it because of clearly his end product is lacking in terms of his finishing in front of goal. It's absolutely awful. But I think when you look at last season, his stats: 1 goal scored, 1 assist. But when you look at his season before that, he got like 9 or 10 assists in the Premier League. I mean, that's a good return.
Yeah.
That's a good return. And I mean, that was under Nuno. That was his best season. Nuno clearly knows how to get the best out of him. And I completely agree with you. When I look at his individual highlights from the game against Spurs, his crossing wasn't bad at all. There was nothing bad about his crossing. What's bad about his end product is his finishing in front of goal. I don't think there's a problem with his crossing into the box. And like you say, with better players around him, I think he can really thrive. And with a front three, let's say, of Adama on the right, Son on the left, and Kane up top, he will create so much space for the other two, because you just have to put 2 free men on him. You have to.
I 100% agree with you. That's the thing. I think that if he does come next year, and I do think this is one that's going to get over the line. Everything seems to come out that it's positive, that they would be willing to do it. I don't know whether it will be, the loan of obligation to buy or something, because it seems that they want that obligation, so they will get the money from either way. But yeah, I 100% agree. I think that his output will increase next season if we have him. I don't think he will be, a mass goal scorer, which is, people argue that's what we need, is a goal scoring winger. But we have a goal scoring winger in Son. I think Bergwijn will improve his output. I think Lucas will probably improve his output as well in terms of the way they've been playing under Nuno. And I think the Traore will get more assists because he'll be putting balls into the likes of Kane and Son. And you'd like to think they would be putting it away. And like I said, I just think it's going to be really exciting having a player like that on our team who can just absolutely terrify defenders. I just think that's going to be really fun. And yeah, I'd enjoy to see it, definitely. But yeah, I agree. With better players around him, I think his output will improve. He did it under Nuno, so he'll be back with the coach that got those numbers out of him. And just a simple fact that he's had a season like that, he's shown he has it under him. He's shown he has that quality within him to do that. And I think, last season with no fans and everything, I think it's difficult sometimes to judge players too much on a season like that. He's very much a player that's kind of hyped up by the crowd. So yeah, I think he would be good for us. I do honestly think that.
All right, brilliant. Dan, thanks for calling in once again, and we'll speak to you soon, my friend.
See you soon. Have a good day.
And to you, mate.
Dan. Nice to see
you. Come
on. Super chat here from Nasser M. Al-Kadi says, do you realise that even if we sell Kane and keep the money, we will still be the most in-debt club in Europe, if not the world? And he went on to say...
It's all long-term debt, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly. And he went on to say, when will the stadium naming rights over a 10-year period come in? Yeah, I mean, there's always rumours about naming rights, but nothing ever happens with it.
Yeah, we were told right when the stadium first opened, the naming rights were imminent, and they're still imminent.
Yes, yeah, I think Levy's still being patient with it at the moment, still trying to find the best deal, but nothing seems anywhere close with that at the moment.
Yeah. Is there anyone else waiting? No one else waiting. So I think that you have any other news?
No, not at the moment.
All right, so that is your Good Morning Tottenham for today. We're bringing the Hot Spa back today. So at 3 o'clock, Simeon and John will be going at it once again on the Hot Spa. You're going to get a predicted lineup and a Tottenham update as well today. So a lot of content coming your way, as well as the Good Morning Tottenham clips as well. So keep your eyes peeled on We Are Tottenham TV today for your daily doses of Tottenham content. Thanks everyone for watching today. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on you Spurs.